if you have your fun money reserved for your fun, don't feel bad about what you're spending it on, okay? It could be your avocado toast or coffee. It could be a pair of shoes. Like, there shouldn't be any judgment around that because you've already made the right decisions ahead of that. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Dream Bigger podcast. So today I am back with part 3 of your 2025 Glow Up Guide, and today's episode is based on all things money. So this was actually not something I had initially planned on doing, but every time I put out a Q&A about just my weekly Q&A on Instagram, or when I had said that I was doing an episode like the 2025 Glow Up Guide on the podcast, I have gotten dozens of questions each time I post about finance related questions. So I know that with us going into the new year, maybe we all have goals around money, about finances. And you know what? I really do think that the new year feels like a time to start fresh. And so if finances or money are a part of your 2025 goals, I'm hoping that this episode is of help to you. So the way that I have split up this episode is there's tangible tips, actually tangible tips that you can take away, things that I have implemented in my life that have really helped me. And again, of course, I'm no finance expert, but I would like to say that I'm really, number one, proud of where I've come with my finance journey. And number two, I've gotten pretty damn good at it. Okay. So I have the tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. I have resources for you guys. And then I have some woo-woo advice as well, because, for me, if you've been listening to this show, I am very much a mix of logic and manifestation. And I really do feel like it's kind of a little bit of both that has helped me get to where I am in every facet of my life. And so anyway, without further ado, let me just dive into my tips and tricks. So the first thing I'm going to say is I think it's really important to come face to face with your finances, okay? So when I was younger and quite reckless with my money and didn't really know what to do, I almost had this, what I know is the technical term for it. It's called ostrich syndrome, okay? And it's essentially when you have a problem or something that you don't want to deal with, and then you just put your head under the sand and you don't want to face it, okay? So if you're someone like this and feel intimidated to kind of look at your bank statements or the bills that are overdue or due or whatever it is, the best way to kind of get better and get your finances to a place that you're happy with, and I promise you it's possible, is number one, come face to face with what the problem is and get really comfortable with looking at those numbers. So what I recommend that I started to do myself a few years ago that made really such a big difference in terms of how I was looking at things altogether was a weekly finance date. Okay. So every Sunday I would sit down and open up all of my different bank accounts, all my statements, everything that I had to do with my personal finances. And I would go over everything, all of my credit card statements, everything that was in my accounts, any investments, over time, obviously now I have investments as well. And I would do that on a weekly basis. And in order to make the experience a little bit more fun and less intimidating, I began to incorporate things that I really enjoyed as part of that experience. Okay. So I would make myself my favorite drink and I would light a candle. And basically I would make this thing this part of my day, something that I would be excited to do. Because if it's, if you're just in front of your laptop, you're just kind of pulling your hair out because maybe it's a little bit overwhelming. So I think having other things to buffer the experience just makes it a lot more pleasant. And I promise you, once you start doing this, week over week, I would say after the 5th week, you kind of get used to it. And then, you can start to implement the changes that you really want to make. So from there, I will go into my next tip, which is paying yourself first. Okay. So this is a really important tip. And I think that everyone should be doing this. So essentially what I mean by this is when you get your paycheck, what you should be doing is paying your bills, putting your money into savings or investments, or like paying off any credit card debt or like any debt that you're working to mitigate. And then use the leftover money for fun, right? So like basically like paying yourself first is like getting like all your responsibilities out of the way and paying off any debts or savings or like whatever it is you're like saving for, like working towards. All of that should be done. And then the rest of your money is your fun money. And I think that unfortunately, we've kind of been trained to feel so bad about what we spend our fun money on. And like, there's so much judgment, like, oh, like avocado toast is the reason we can't afford property. Like, it's dumb shit like that. And I just feel like if you have your fun money reserved for your fun, don't feel bad about what you're spending it on, okay? It could be your avocado toast or coffee. It could be a pair of shoes. Like, there shouldn't be any judgment around that because you've already made the right decisions ahead of that, you know? So, you know, maybe it is paying off debt, it's paying bills, rent, you know, putting money into investments, mortgage, like whatever it is, right? And then after that, it's just your time to play around with your money, and you should be able to enjoy like how you spend your money too. So the other thing I will say is that I think whoever has like money goals, everyone needs to also start acting like the person that has the finance, like the finance position that they're after. So say, for example, like, you know, your goal is to be a very wealthy person, right? I think also you have to train yourself to act like that type of person. And I don't mean spending your money, because fact of the matter is that when someone is wealthy, they've made certain decisions and continue to make certain decisions in order to stay in that financial position. Okay. They're not recklessly spending their money. So typically when, you know, you think, oh, like if I'm supposed to act like a wealthy person, like, oh, that would mean that I get to buy all these designer handbags and fly first class. Like, yes, but that's like a byproduct of all the good things that you've done and the fact that you have a healthy relationship with your finances. Does that make sense? The analogy that I'll give you is like, okay, if, say, for example, you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you don't get there by spending money on a humongous office. Like, the humongous office comes later on as a result of all the hard work you've done on building a business with a good foundation. You know what I mean? Like, the office is a byproduct of all the work that you put into a business. And it's the same thing with your finances. When I say you have to act like the person that is in the position that you want to be in, like that doesn't mean you're spending all your money. Like that would be a very dumb thing to do, right? So like instead ask yourself, okay, like this person who's in this financial position, like what are the decisions that they're making on a day-to-day basis? Probably means that, you know, they're definitely like paying off their bills on time. They are working towards, if they have any debt, making sure that that's like finished and like, you know, there's like a plan to kind of pay that off. And also if there is no debt, then making sure that you're putting money away into investments. And I wish one of the things that I knew when I was younger was that there's like no time. Sorry. What I wish I knew when I was younger about investments is that you don't need a ton of money to start. You know, you can start with like even the smallest amounts just to make a habit, because over time, that will compound. If you put things into the stock market, it will compound. And I'm not someone who believes in day trading. It's just not something that I have time for personally. So when I put my money away, I'm putting it into like the S&P 500 and like just letting it grow, and like other stock options or whatever. And I'm just letting it grow. Okay. But I wish that I had learned to do this when I was younger and just built a habit, because I just always was under the impression, and I don't know why I felt this way, that I needed like hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in the stock market before it was even worth doing. And now this is something that I vehemently disagree with. And I hope that by listening to me, even if you guys have like $5 to put into like investments, I hope you do that, because that will add up. It adds up over time and it does compound as well. So speaking of, I want to share with you the books that I think will really help you in your finance journey, and they've just really helped me. So the first one that I recommend to everyone, if you're a beginner or just like starting to think about this, is a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. It is truly, I feel like this is a must read for anything personal finance related. It is an incredible book. I love Ramit because he is just not judgmental. Every tip in there is super tangible. And if you want to get kind of an idea of like who he is, I would recommend watching. He had like a documentary style show on Netflix, and it was really good. So highly recommend watching that. His book is so good. Everyone should read that. Please read that. Like, read that this holiday season. It'll get you so excited to get your finances under control for the new year. Like, it is such a good book. Okay, next is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I think it's also really interesting to understand how money works and how, again, like wealthy people think. Speaking of, the next book is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It's by T. Harv Eker. Again, I thought that this was a fascinating read. It just will help you think like a wealthy person, which I think is also a part of it. Another one is Rich as Fuck by Amanda Francis. Another great read on just like, this is more woo-woo manifestation, but listen, I will take any resource and apply it to any area of my life, right? So this was an interesting read as well. Highly recommend it. And then lastly, I have Money Master the Game. This is by Tony Robbins. This is a little bit more advanced. So I would definitely read this much after you read I Will Teach You to Be Rich, because I think that that book gives you the foundation of what to do, how to set up your investment accounts, how to kind of the plan that you should be using to pay off credit card debt if you have any. And Money Master the Game goes deeper into investment strategies, like different investment splits. It's a really good book because Tony Robbins essentially interviews a bunch of different experts in finance, and it is just a really, really good book. So it'll teach you more details onto how to split your investments. So if you're further along in your personal finance journey, I highly recommend reading this book. I thought it was like so eye-opening. It taught me so much, and a lot of what I learned is kind of how I have my investment portfolio split up as well. So highly recommend. Okay, so next thing I want to move on to is my more like woo-woo kind of like mindset related advice, okay? So I think a lot of people tend to have limiting beliefs around money, which shapes how money shows up in their life. And I think it's really important to work through whatever those beliefs they are, whatever those beliefs are for you, right? So some of the most common ones are like, money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. You need a man to manage your finances, right? Like, these are things that you don't even like, it can just be in your subconscious because maybe you heard your parents say it anytime like you left the lights on, or maybe you came from like a more troubled childhood. Again, those are things that shape how we show up. Or like when it comes to like, you need a man to manage your finances. Maybe it was because your parents were always looking after your finances and you just were never empowered to do that. And so you have this opinion of yourself that you need someone else to help you with this because you aren't capable of helping yourself. So you really have to identify like what these limiting beliefs are. And I can tell you, like, for me, this was a huge part of my personal finance journey. You know, I was one of these people that was of the belief that I needed someone else to manage my finances because, you know, my dad was always the person who did it for everyone in my family. And so I was heavily dependent on him when I was growing up, obviously. And so when I grew up, it just like never came to my brain that this was something that I was even capable of. And the other limiting belief that I had was, oh, I'm bad with numbers, because I was terrible with math. And I just had some really tough teachers in high school who made me feel bad about that. Again, I'm not blaming them. It's on me. And so I had to work through all of those things in order to get to a place where I was like, I have every other area of my life under control, everything. And I am someone who like highly like believes that I'm a highly competent person and I'm able to work through any challenges that are put my way. And yet I'm intimidated by money. Like, what a dumb thought, right? And so that required work for me to change how I felt about myself almost. And then like I started to learn, and one of my superpowers is my ability to learn and absorb information and also apply those things really quickly. And as soon as I started to learn about it, and as soon as I realized that it didn't have to be this like complicated or overwhelming thing, and that learning about finances was just like learning about any other thing, then I was like, okay, it's on. And then it almost became a game to me, right? So I just want to empower you to kind of work through whatever beliefs you have and actually identify them, because the thing is that oftentimes we aren't even self-aware enough to realize that we have these limiting beliefs, and then working through it in order to get to the other side. I promise you, this is like, it can be tough work, it can be triggering, but when you get to the other side, it is absolutely worth it. You will be so proud of yourself. And I believe in all of you guys, okay? Like if I could do it, you guys can do it too. And then I guess the other thing I have to say around this as well is that, you know, I think that in the breath of like money is the root of all evil, right? I think that this can be a thing that a lot of people think, and I like to think of money as like a magnifying glass, okay? So it just makes you more of what you are. If you are a shitty person, if you are selfish and mean, I think money will just make you more of that. It will make you more selfish. It will make you more prone to destruction. And if you are a kind person who's selfless, who wants to make an impact in the world, money will be the tool that allows you to do that, right? I feel like I'm so grateful for whatever money has come into my life, because I'm able to use that to support charities that I care for, to support people who may need help. Like I'm able to do things for people that I wasn't able to do when I was younger or didn't have as much money. And on that note as well, when it comes to giving, the one piece of advice that I will give you is that I don't think that you become any poorer from giving. Like I remember donating to charities when I had $500 in my bank account in college, and I swear to you, I would give away like $50, $100 when I had almost nothing for myself, and yet somehow that money would make its way back to me. Again, this is the woo-woo bit of this episode, and you know, if you don't believe in this stuff, like that's on you, but I heavily believe in it. I have never missed money that I have given away to someone who needs it more, and I just feel like it's really good karma. And it's funny because I saw a psychic, because my friend gifted me a psychic for my birthday. And this psychic was telling me, she's like, you have incredible karma. And I feel like it's because my entire life, no matter what position I've been in, I have given with my entire heart. And so I encourage you guys to make that a part of whatever plan you have for your own financial journey, because I feel like if we can all be a little bit more giving, then the world just becomes a better place. And, you know, as we start to win and like, you know, grow, like, you know, it's also nice to bring other people up with you. So anyway, those are all of my tips and tricks around money. I am hoping that we can all glow up and have a very strong money year in 2025. I'm feeling good about it. I hope you guys are too. And I hope you guys found these resources and tips really helpful. Let me know if you read any of the books, because I've read all of these books multiple times. And so if you do read any of them, slide into my DMs. I want to discuss it with you. And I hope you guys are having like the best December time, because I can't believe we're so close to the new year. I love this time of year, and I love you guys. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.